struggling waitress served the rudest customer she'd ever encountered, enduring his insults with quiet dignity. She never expected to see him again after he stormed out without tipping. But the next day, he walked back through the door, carrying something that left her speechless. Lisa Morgan wiped down tables at Rosie's diner during the dinner rush, her worn uniform and tired smile marking her as someone working multiple jobs to survive. The 29-year-old single mother of two, barely making rent despite 60-hour weeks between the diner and her overnight grocery store position. When the well-dressed businessman entered and sat in her section, Lisa approached with her usual friendliness despite exhaustion. "Welcome, what can I get you?" The man, approximately 40 years old in an expensive suit, didn't look up from his phone. "Coffee. Black. Fast." "I don't have time for incompetence." His dismissive tone set the pattern for the next hour. Everything Lisa did earned criticism, delivered with contempt that made other customers uncomfortable. The coffee was too hot, then too cold. The sandwich wasn't cut properly. The refill took too long. Each complaint delivered with increasing rudeness that seemed designed to humiliate rather than address actual problems. "You people can't do anything right. This is why you're stuck serving tables instead of having real careers." Lisa absorbed each insult with professional composure, her hands trembling slightly but her voice remaining polite. "I apologize, sir. Let me fix that for you." Other waitresses watched sympathetically, having all experienced similar customers who treated service workers as targets for their personal frustrations. When the man finally left after paying his exact bill without any tip despite an hour of Lisa's patient service, he made one final cutting remark. "Maybe if you were better at your job, you wouldn't be poor." Lisa stood at the empty table, the words hitting harder than he knew. She was poor, desperately so, working herself to exhaustion, while her children stayed with her mother because she couldn't afford childcare. Every dollar already allocated to bills that never quite got paid. Her co-worker Maria touched her shoulder gently. "Don't let him get to you. Some people are just miserable and need someone to hurt." Lisa nodded, blinking back tears, clearing the table and moving to her next customers, refusing to let cruelty destroy the dignity she maintained despite circumstances that would have broken others. The next afternoon, Lisa was serving lunch when the door opened and the same businessman walked in, carrying a large envelope and looking very different, his expression showing shame rather than arrogance, his entire demeanor transformed from yesterday's aggressive contempt. Lisa's stomach dropped, assuming he'd returned to complain to management, perhaps trying to get her fired for some imagined slight. He approached her table station directly. "May I speak with you privately for a moment?" Lisa's manager nodded permission and they stepped to a quiet corner, Lisa preparing for accusations or demands. The man's voice was quiet and genuinely remorseful. "My name is Robert Chen. Yesterday I was unforgivably rude to you. I was having the worst day of my life. I'd just been fired from my executive position. My wife had served me divorce papers, and I was angry at the world. That's no excuse for how I treated you. You were professional and kind despite my cruelty, and I took my failures out on someone who didn't deserve it. I went home last night hating myself for becoming the kind of person who abuses service workers because I'm unhappy." Lisa listened, surprised by his honesty, but uncertain where this was going. Robert held out the envelope. "I can't undo yesterday, but I can try to make amends. This contains $10,000. It's not charity. It's an apology and recognition that your grace under pressure showed more character than I've demonstrated in years of so-called success. I also called every restaurant in this district and told them if they're hiring managers, they should interview you, because anyone who maintains dignity while being treated like garbage possesses leadership qualities most people never develop." Lisa's hands shook as she opened the envelope, the amount inside representing 6 months of her exhausting double shifts. Enough to pay off debts, afford proper childcare, maybe even reduce her hours to actually see her children. Tears streamed down Lisa's face as the enormity of this unexpected redemption overwhelmed her. "I don't understand. Why would you do this?" Robert's response was simple. "Because yesterday, I was a man who thought money made me superior, that my problems justified cruelty, that people serving me were beneath consideration. You reminded me through your quiet strength that character isn't measured by job titles or bank accounts, but by how we treat others when we have nothing to gain from kindness. You showed me grace I didn't deserve, and that revealed everything I'd lost about my own humanity. This money won't solve all your problems, but maybe it gives you breathing room to build something better, the way your example gave me a chance to remember who I want to be." Lisa used the money to reduce her work hours, spend time with her children, and pursue management training that led to a restaurant supervisor position within 6 months. Robert, meanwhile, started over with humility. His previous success had eroded, volunteering at shelters and food banks, where he practiced treating people with the respect he'd forgotten during his corporate climb. They remained in touch. Their unlikely friendship built on the moment when his cruelty met her grace and created transformation for both. His redemption through recognizing the humanity he'd dismissed. Her breakthrough through receiving help that acknowledged rather than diminished her worth. The story became legend at Rosie's Diner. Waitresses telling new hires about the time the rudest customer ever returned with life-changing apology and money. The tale serving as reminder that people are complex, that bad behavior sometimes masks pain, that grace under pressure possesses power to transform those who witness it, and that the dignity maintained by those society overlooks can teach profound lessons to those arrogant enough to think position determines value. Proving kindness costs nothing but impacts everything. That redemption remains possible for those humble enough to recognize their failures, and that sometimes the worst moments plant seeds for the most unexpected transformations when courage meets conscience and pride gives way to honest recognition that how we treat others when we're suffering reveals who we truly are beneath our carefully constructed identities.